It was a peaceful night in the suburbs of Perth, Australia. The kind of night where the crickets hum softly and families tuck into warm beds without fear. For Sam Abraham, it was no different, or so it seemed. He came home from a long hospital shift, tired but smiling. A nurse by profession, a father by love, and a husband by duty. Life wasn't perfect, but it was safe. Or at least, that's what Sam believed. He had no idea that his world was about to collapse, and that the people he loved most were holding the matchstick. The kitchen light flickered as he entered. The scent of orange juice drifted toward him, placed neatly on the dining table.
His wife Sofia greeted him with her usual, "You look tired. Drink something before you sleep." He smiled, trusting her, just like he always had. He took the glass. And with it, he took his last breath of trust. What was in that glass? Why did his wife offer it with such calm eyes? And why did it taste just a little bitter? Nobody dies instantly from cyanide. Not always. Sam collapsed within an hour, breathing shallow, sweat dripping down, confused, dazed. Sofia cried out, called for help, called the ambulance, even sobbed over his body at the hospital. But that cry wasn't for him. It was for herself. Because Sam didn't just die of poison. He died of betrayal. But betrayal doesn't show up on an X-ray. At least not at first. The doctors were confused. A healthy man. No symptoms prior. The first conclusion was cardiac arrest. But something didn't sit right with Sam's family back in India. His brother, a quiet man, wasn't ready to accept it. He pushed. He requested a full post-mortem. Weeks passed. The body had already been buried. But the whispers had begun. And then came the report. Cyanide detected. A word so lethal, it doesn't just kill the victim, it poisons the memory. Sam was murdered. But who could have done it? The answer was both obvious and unimaginable. Sofia Abraham, his wife of over a decade, the mother of his child, the woman who promised to grow old with him, was the prime suspect. But this wasn't a story of domestic quarrels or sudden rage. No, this was calculated. This was romantic. This was planned. And behind Sofia stood someone else. A man named Arun. Not a stranger, not a stalker, not even a criminal on record. Arun was an old flame from her college years back in Kerala, India. They had reconnected. Online chats. Video calls at midnight. "I miss you," she typed. "Let's build a new life together," he replied. But Sam was in the way. And the only way to be free was to make him disappear. Permanently. Can you imagine plotting someone's death while your child plays in the next room? Can you imagine texting your lover while your husband sleeps beside you? That's what Sofia did. And slowly, inch by inch, emotion by emotion, guilt stopped mattering. Because desire is a silent killer. It doesn't scream. It whispers. Their messages revealed it all later. "Let's mix it in his drink. He won't even feel it. We'll finally be free." But were they? Can anyone ever really be free after Sam isn't coming back. All he left behind was silence. And a story we must remember. Because betrayal rarely comes with warning. Sometimes it comes with a smile. And a glass of orange juice. Australia mourned. But not on the streets, not with banners. This wasn't that kind of death. This was the kind of tragedy that creeps into living rooms, drowns in the teacups of morning silence, and lingers behind a child's empty stare. Their son, just 7 years old, asked a question no adult was ready to answer. "Where's Daddy?" They said he went to sleep. But why wasn't he waking up? That child, now motherless too, lives under the care of relatives, far from the home that once smelled of warm dinners and quiet laughter. What remains in that home? The fridge that stored the poison-laced juice? The sink where the glass was rinsed? The photos on the wall where smiles feel like lies? Sofia's trial wasn't just legal, it was emotional theater. The courtroom saw CCTV footages, chat logs, receipts of poison purchased under false identity. But what hurt most were the words from Sofia herself. Not screams, not apologies, but cold, planned intent. "I knew I had no choice," she said once during interrogation. But did she? How does love turn into such darkness? The world watched, not just Australia. The case aired on international media, crime networks, YouTube documentaries, TikTok theories. Everyone had opinions. She's evil. She's a victim of emotional manipulation. She's a monster. She's just human. Broken, maybe. And what about Arun? He sat in the courtroom, sometimes smirking, sometimes blank. A man who traded a life for lust. He once texted, "Soon he'll be gone and you'll be mine." But what he didn't realize was, freedom built on death always collapses. The court sentenced him to 27 years. And Sofia? 22 years behind bars and perhaps a lifetime behind guilt. But here's the question that lingers. Can you ever really forgive someone who looks into your eyes with love while plotting your death? What would you do? Imagine sitting across from your partner, sharing a meal, planning vacations, while they plan your end. Isn't that scarier than any ghost story? Because ghosts don't pour you juice with a smile. People do. People you love. People you trust. People you sleep beside. And that is the deepest fear. This isn't just Sam's story. This is the story of betrayal that could be anywhere. UK, Canada, India, US. It doesn't matter the country. Because emotions don't need passports. Every country has love. And every love has the potential to turn sour. But is murder ever justified? Was Sofia oppressed? Lonely? Emotionally desperate? Yes. But murder isn't a cure. Murder is a scar that never fades. And no prison cell can lock up the guilt that rots inside. Years from now, when Sofia sits in silence in a correctional facility, will she think of the juice? Will she remember the final moments as Sam looked at her, trusting, unaware, drinking death? And Arun? Will he wake up in the dark of his cell, replaying those messages? Mix it now. Soon, we'll be free. Are they? Are they free? Or more trapped than ever? The media moved on. Another story came. Another scandal. Another death. But for Sam's family, the grief stayed. And that's the real punishment. Not just the years behind bars, but the years ahead for those left behind. You're watching this right now. Maybe on your phone. Maybe alone in your room. Maybe with headphones. And you're thinking, this would never happen to me. But would it? Have you ever ignored red flags? Ever stayed in a relationship because of comfort? Ever smiled back at someone who once made your heart race, even though you knew it was wrong? Where is the line?
between desire and destruction, between love and obsession, between loyalty and silence. There are thousands of Sam Abrahams around the world.
Men and women who never see it coming. Because evil doesn't always have a knife. Sometimes it has gentle hands. Sometimes it holds your child. Sometimes it just hands you a glass. And that's the last time you ever breathe. So ask yourself, are you safe? Do you really know who sleeps beside you? Is love supposed to feel like this? If this story made you pause, if your heart slowed even for a second, then do one thing, like this video. Subscribe for more human stories that the world forgets too fast. And drop a comment. Trust is fragile. I'm watching closely now. Because stories like this,
they're not just about death. They're warnings. They're mirrors. And sometimes, they save lives. Thank you for watching. Stay alert, stay aware, and never, ever ignore the bitter aftertaste.